Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business Basics for Engineers, Creating Value. Now, we basically know why companies need a strategy, but now it's important to understand what drives the strategy of these companies. Actually, there are two main aspects that drive a company's strategy, and this is on the one hand the market, where are the competitors, what do the customers want, and on the other hand, yourself. What are you able to do best? And this is actually market versus resource-based view or market-based view in combination with the resource-based view. And this is not only a strategy for companies, this is also a strategy in many, many different areas. And if you look at that example, it's a soccer example again. I mean, I'm from Germany, from Europe, and we are very much into soccer. And this is probably, I shouldn't say that as a German person, but one of the best soccer teams in the world, maybe the best. Well, some Germans think Bayern Munich is the best, but maybe we said one of the best soccer teams in the world, Real Madrid. And they actually also ask themselves the same question every time. They ask the question, what is the market doing? So the question is, who's your opponent in the future? That's the market-based view. So they are playing against Bayern Munich. So how should they define the strategy based on what the opponent does? And what is the ideal team setup? So based on this outside view, what am I able to do best? Am I able to attack in these areas? And that's the resource-based view. Same with companies. Companies ask, what do customers want in general? Is there a niche others haven't covered? So what is competition doing? Where do I find my role in between that? And if I know my role, what are the resources I need in order to achieve my positioning into that market? And that's basically what strategy is about. And I'd like to go into those two areas deeper in order to understand the main thinking of companies in this area. So let's start with the market-based view. The market-based view is strategy is designed based on trends and the nature of industry environment. That's for sure. So you have to try to understand what customers want, and they're very different. So you might find a niche even as an entrepreneur. And based on that, look at competition, who's serving which group of customers, and is there a group of customers which is unserved? Nobody is really taking care for these people. And many entrepreneurial companies actually came out of that. I mean, think about hotels. Hotel rooms got more expensive, and people, there were still people who were able to afford hotel rooms. However, 3 guys in San Francisco said, it's too expensive for us. Nobody is serving us. Why don't we serve the world with air beds and breakfast? Start of Airbnb. Same thing. So there's a group of people being unserved. There's a competition who's serving others. Why do I take this niche and serve that niche? And this is how you approach that. So you design policies and strategy based on trends and the nature of the industry's environment. You help to select those markets in combination for the product and try to design your company accordingly. And what are the good tools for that and questions for analysis? Actually, it's the industry. So it's what is the outside world doing? What are actually drivers of profit potential? So, I mean, if there's a niche, but in this niche, nobody's able to pay, it's a questionable thing. So it might not be able to open a hotel chain in that niche, what Airbnb is serving, but it's possible to build that network of companies. And that's the difference. And the last question is, what is the competition doing? Is there someone else who's doing that? And Porter's 5 Forces is a very, very good tool that can answer these questions. And we go into that in detail in the following. Just briefly on the other side, so if you found your competition, if you found your role within industry, competition, and market, also what are the resources you have to combine? So strategy concentrates on the organization of your resources and knowledge in order to serve your niche in the best way possible. And these questions are really recognizing and utilizing the organization's resources the best way possible, finding a good setup, and try to understand whether it's you who is very exclusive in these resources to serve that niche. So what are the tools here and what are the questions for analysis? It is the question of your own resources. What are the tangible and intangible assets of your company, present or potentially? What are the capabilities adding to that and the competencies? And Porter's value chain is answering at least some of these questions. Now, based on Porter's value chain, you can answer some of the questions. This is why I'd also try to look into that in one of the next videos. However, first of all, if you look at companies, you can say that their strategy is driven by either a more market-based or a resource-based view, ideally by both and ideally by the combination. However, if you look at these two companies, Dell and Toyota, you can at least try to find a difference. Michael Dell, he was able to assemble computers in a good way. However, what was his core competence? It was selling. So he came from the market, and his market-based view was people are looking for customized computers. That was his starting point. Then he built his entire organization around that with direct selling and so on. So he was driven by a market-based view. However, he also thought about his core competences he needed to serve that market in the best way possible. On the other hand, Toyota is a lot more driven from their production facilities, from their Toyota lean management production capabilities. And this is why they are able to build a very qualitative, very great, a good car. And this is how they approach the market. And nowadays they're also innovative by that. However, their push into the market, their strategy was mostly driven by capabilities, by the resources, and by that they were finding the niche in the market, their place in the market. However, they also combine it, and ideally you always combine both sides and say, okay, there has to be a place out there in the market for me, and what are the right resources, capabilities to build up in order to serve that need, in order to fill that place there. And there are a couple instruments which you can use to do that, and this is just a quick overview on that, and then we go deeper in that. So we have altogether we have 4 instruments for the market-based view, starting with Porter again, with the competitive strategies. So the generic strategies which you can use. Porter's 5 forces gives you a tool, a level of analysis, which leads you further into that. And if you're running a company, you can ask for your own strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities and threats from the market. Try to understand your position a little further compared to the competitors, which is the competitive strategy. So these are the 4 market-based tools I'd like to cover. And the other 2 tools from the resource-based view, which are the other side, so to say, are the value chain in order to really understand your company. Based on that, from the resource-based view, the question, how exclusive are your resources? How valuable are they? This is coming from the resource-based view. And based on that, what are the capabilities you have to build up and you have to maintain and change over time in order to serve your market position in the best way possible. These are the tools I'd like to look into in one of the next slides.